All right, today we have a workout for posture. We're gonna emphasize working on the pelvic tuck and tilt and thoracic extension, retraction of the shoulders, and the hinging of the hips back with the head retraction as well. So we'll start on a toe founder with the toes in, the heels out, feet about hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider. We're gonna find a neutral spine, decompress, retract your shoulders. We're gonna come into a long wing position, split the fingers, external rotation. We're gonna hinge, find the hamstrings, find the glutes, retract the head, retract the shoulders, open the palms, split the fingers. Big breaths in through the nose. Try to find the weight on the back body, on the hamstrings, on the glutes, but the head retracting back. Chin level, not lifting up, crunching the back of the neck. Also with the head not falling, pulling it back. Toes on the ground. A little tuck, a little pin of the ribs. And come back up and shake that off. All right, we're gonna do just a little exercise to get familiar with pelvic tuck and tilts, as well as the rib cage extension and flexion. So usually we do cat-cows from the tailbone rounding to the head. Today we're gonna isolate just the lumbar spine. So I'm not moving my thoracic spine, I'm not moving my cervical spine. Upper back and neck are static. My shoulders are also static. I'm tucking, squeezing the hip flexors, the abdominals, and then arching. Lifting the tailbone up towards the sky, like I'm trying to point towards the back of my head with my tailbone, and then I'm gonna point towards my forehead. I'm gonna squeeze the front, squeeze the back. When I squeeze the front, I stretch the back. When I squeeze the back, I'm stretching the front. And then when I come back to neutral, we're gonna do the same thing with the thoracic spine. So now my tailbone stays as neutral as possible. And I'm gonna make sure here that the movement is not at the shoulders. The movement is at the thoracic spine. We're pinning the ribs in, engaging the upper abs, and then releasing and trying to get the thoracic extensors of the paraspinal muscles. Think of heart up towards the ceiling, heart down towards the ground. Spine rounding, reaching up towards the ceiling, spine flattening towards arching towards the ground. A few more times. And now we're gonna go on our backs. Toes together, heels apart, knees together, keep them touching. Knees bent about 90 degrees. Pelvis remain on the floor. Head back, chin in. If you find that even tucking the chin in, your head is extending back quite a bit, you can always use a little hat here, maybe a pillow or a towel, so that your head is as straight as possible. To start, all we're gonna do is arch and round. So like we were doing before, we're tucking, squeezing the front. Inhale, arch. You should feel your hand can go all the way through. And then when you round, your hand can't even get underneath there. Completely squeezing in as much flexion in the front as possible. And then we stretch the front and can engage the back. This is our exhale here. We're closing, we're creating pressure on the front. And then here we inhale, we're opening. Breathing through the nose. Tuck and tilts. okay? From here, let's tuck, keep it tucked, keep the tension on the front, but lift the pelvis up into a bridge. So now we're engaging the front by tucking, hip flexion, but we're also engaging the glute and the low back muscles. So this is very important here. We have the low back engaging and we have the front hip flexors engaging. We're stabilizing the spine from the bottom here at the lumbar spine. Our pelvis are being stabilized by our knees squeezing in. We got our toes in, heels out, so we're in a gentle internal rotation, anchoring the hips, stabilizing the spine, and then try to get your thoracic spine to lift up as much as possible. Maybe if you're able to, pin the ribs. Here the ribs are flaring, maybe too much arch. If you pin, you stabilize the front while you engage the back. We're not trying to hyperextend the back, and we're just trying to keep good tension on both sides. And when you're done with this, you just round all the way down to the ground and bring the knees in through the inside of the legs, grab to the base of the knees. And this is our counter pose. Now we're letting the back muscles relax. We're also not engaging the front. Reconnecting with the breath. And we'll go face down on the ground for some back extensions. So now the focus again is going to be on the low back muscles. If you feel like you're overusing them, you can play with tucking, squeezing the glutes to protect the low back. Forehead on the ground, hands to the side of the ears, but at least at 90-degree angle here. 90-degree at the shoulders, 90-degree at the elbows. Big toes touching, ankles flexing, trying to point towards your knees with your toes. Try to pull with the pinky, but separate the heels. Keep the big toes touching, heels apart, and just a few inches here off the ground. If your hamstrings tend to cramp, you can just do a few times just simple bicep curls. You can alternate, or you could do both legs together, just to bring some heat and blood flow into the hamstrings before going into the extension. So you could do 10-20 reps here, keeping the knees together, keeping the ankles flexed. Try spreading the toes. And when you're ready, knees stay together, big toes touching, flex the ankles, toes just a few inches off the ground. Forehead on the ground, hands and elbows on the ground. Let's try lifting just the head first. This makes it a little bit easier. And think about this idea of pulling away from the ground. Head retracting, but not looking forward. Keep the chin in, head up. Chin in, head up. On this first round, we're keeping the hands and elbows on the floor. And just check, big toes touching, knees touching, flex the ankle, lift the head, big breaths here through the nose. And when you're ready, counter pose here, toes on the ground. And we bring our hips back into child pose. You can do palms together, forehead to the ground or the knees. So here we're relaxing the low back muscles. And reconnecting with the breath. And let's go back for another round. This time we're going to lift the head and then the arms. Try to keep your wrist ideally higher than your elbows so that there's some external rotation at your arms. So when you're ready, 90 degrees at the elbows and shoulders. The toes are slightly off the ground, big toes touching, heels apart, flexing the ankles, engaging the anterior tibialis, looking straight down. If you need to, tuck the tailbone, squeeze the glutes, but primarily just focus on lifting the head up off the ground and then hands and elbows off the ground. 5 big breaths here. Open palms, spread the fingers, straight wrist. Lift the elbows, but also lift the wrist. Don't just lift the elbows. Try to get external rotation. Maybe one more big breath here. And then slowly lower down. And come back to child pose. Hips reaching back, hands reaching forward, chin tucking in, big breaths into the back. Let's go back for another round. Big toes touching, flex the ankle, lift the toes, squeeze the knees, tuck the tailbone, lift the head, lift the arms, lift the elbow, wrist higher than the elbow, and breathe. Spread the fingers, squeeze the knees, flex the ankles. Couple more big breaths here. And then slowly pull back to child pose. Toes pointing back. You can do knees together or you can do knees apart. From here, walk your hands to your left side. Big breath, stretching the right side. Other side. Come back to center and come up to standing. And we're gonna finish the same way that we started, with the feet hip width apart. Standing tall. Send the hips back, toes in, heels slightly out, knees unlocked, hips loading back, shoulders retracting, arms out to the side, external rotation, spread the fingers. Trying to get that extension through the thoracic spine that we talked about. A little bit of tucking at the tailbone. Just making sure your spine is straight. Retract the head. And come up to standing. Shake that off. All right, good work.